Okay, so it's 12 p.m. my time, so I'm just gonna start on this, so if you guys start rolling in, you can backtrack. I'm gonna try to talk more than I have in past streams. I think that I tend to go a bit silent, so sorry if it's a little bit awkward. So backtrack. I'm gonna try to talk more than I have. It was really crazy. What happened before was I was trying to log into Patreon. And it was prompting me with like some verification stuff because someone was logging in my account from California, or they attempted to. I was trying to log into Patreon. It's quite terrifying. So I'm really sorry about like the little bit of a delay in getting the link working, guys. Because I was trying to make sure that you know they were touching personal information or anything like that. I don't think they actually got on the account, but you never could be too sure. I was trying to make sure I triple secured it. So yeah, we're gonna just start off with inking out this little Yoshi sketch that I've done. And if you guys have any questions, what have you, like, yeah, we're gonna totally start off with say whatever you'd like, and this little Yoshi sketch, more than happy to answer anything. So yeah, if you guys have any questions, started on this. Usually, I'm gonna start off with a preliminary sketch, which has color, and I go through a few iterations. But I noticed that in the 2 hours that I usually I'm gonna start off with it tends to drag on too much and take away from rendering. So I'm gonna just I think it's a fairly simple illustration. So I'll just go straight into the color. It's easier when it's banner. Drag on. I don't have to figure out how Yoshi's colors work. I think it's a fairly simple illustration. So I'll just shouldn't be a big deal. It's easier when it's banner. Drag on. I don't have to figure out how Yoshi's colors work. So usually when I ink, I tend to use a soft brush. Yeah, I find that the airbrushes. So usually when I ink, I tend to use. I have to make sure that's a hard enough airbrush to make sure that I find that the too cloudy looking, I suppose. When I ink, I tend to use. I have to make sure that's a hard enough airbrush to. A lot of people ask me questions as to like why I actually put any lines at all since I draw over them, and my reasoning for that is because I feel that. By putting the lines there, it kind of allows me to get a pseudo 2D, 3D effect going on. And I really think that tends to be my own kind of signature for my stuff. So, I mean, it's not something that everyone should do. I think it's really style dependent, but that's why I do the thing myself. So it's not necessarily for my stuff. So one size fits all. Something that everyone should do. I think it's really style dependent, but I try to add a little bit of texture at the beginning while I'm working, just to give myself an impression of what will be the more graphic-y sorts of texture in here. I try to add a little bit of texture at the beginning while I'm working, just to give myself an impression of what will be the more graphic-y. Trying to wonder how I could kind of get Yoshi to not look like the standard Yoshi, but still look enough like a Yoshi, I suppose. Trying to wonder how I could kind of get Yoshi to not look like the standard Yoshi. Kind of like these old-timey boots. Still look enough like a Yoshi, I suppose. Well, great description there, for the old-timey boots. Yoshi to not look like the standard Yoshi. Kind of like these old-timey boots. Look enough like a Yoshi, I suppose. Well, great description there, for the old-timey boots. That arm is not looking kind of like great. Old-timey boots. Kind of get more of a wedge shape in here. Great description there, for the old-timey boots. That arm is. I think that it's really important to make sure that you have your shape in here, curvy lines and your straight lines when you're working. You don't want to have too many straight lines or have everything be curvy. It's really important. It's good to have a harmony of a lot of. So like curvy lines, these spikes on his head are they're straight lines, but then you'll have smooth. It's really important. It's good to have curvy lines like the nose. So like it brings a better balance to the overall painting, in my opinion. Straight lines, but then you'll have smooth. It's good to have curvy lines. Really sorry for the lack of music. I tried putting on in the 2 past streams that I've attempted to put music on, and it's proven to be pretty disastrous with YouTube. I mean, I check up things that are royalty free, and they still get flagged. So I apologize, but to be safe, so that my channel doesn't get taken down or anything, I think that I'm just gonna keep the music off. They still get flagged, because YouTube is really losing its mind lately. To be safe, the copyright stuff. My channel doesn't get taken taken down or anything. I think that, I mean, I'm sure that's hardly news to anyone. Because YouTube is really losing its mind lately. To be safe, the copyright stuff. My channel doesn't get taken down or anything. I think that, I mean, I'm sure that's hardly news to anyone. Because YouTube is really losing its mind lately. To be safe, the copyright stuff. My channel doesn't get taken down or anything. I think that, I mean, I'm sure that's hardly news to anyone. Because YouTube is really losing its mind lately. To be safe, the copyright stuff. My channel doesn't get taken down or anything. I think that, I mean, I'm sure that's hardly news to anyone. Because YouTube is really losing its mind lately. To be safe, the copyright stuff. I mean, I'm sure that's hardly news to anyone. Okay, so we inked out pretty much what Yoshi will look like. Just remove this around him. We don't need the extra fluff. Pretty much what I think that we're gonna just turn him around like this just to see how it looks. Remove this around him. It's alright. We don't need the extra fluff. He's a bit long. I think that we're gonna just turn him around like this. I really shouldn't do this, but I'm just gonna squish him and see what I could get. It's alright. He's a bit long. Yeah, he does better when he's fatter. I really shouldn't do this, but I'm just gonna squish him. Long and snake-like Yoshi doesn't really work all that well. He's a bit long. It's cuter when he's chubbier. Yeah, he does better when he's fatter. I really shouldn't do this, but I'm just gonna squish him. Long and snake-like Yoshi doesn't really work all that well. He's a bit long. It's cuter when he's chubbier. Yeah, he does better when he's fatter. I really shouldn't do this, but I'm just gonna squish him. Long and snake-like Yoshi doesn't really work all that well. It's cuter when he's chubbier. Yeah, he does better when he's fatter. Yeah, that works a lot better. Alright, now that they've got these eggs. Now, I could just ink these out, but I like to do a little trick for eggs. It just saves me some time, so I'm gonna make another layer. Gonna now that circle that egg stroke. I could just ink these out, but I like to do a little trick for eggs. It just saves me some time, so I'm gonna make another layer. Gonna now that circle that egg stroke. I could just ink these out, but I like to do a little trick for eggs. It just I don't know. I find it's a lot easier than kind of messing with the eggs like that. Alright. Cool. I don't know. I find it's a lot easier than kind of messing with the eggs like that. Alright. I think it's possible for me to actually overlay some music at the end of, so right now as I'm speaking there's no music, but I might be able to put something, I think it's possible for me to actually overlay some music at the end of, so right now as I'm speaking there's no music. So it's not just creepy silence and me breathing. I think it's possible for me to actually overlay some music at the end of. So right now, overlay music. There's no music. I hope it's not too lame to talk about the weather, but holy crud! Yeah, we just got like hit by this insane winter storm yesterday. It was all sunny and great. Talk about the weather all of a sudden. It turned into a living hell. Yeah, we just got like. I was outside and I thought that I could just go to the grocery store to grab some things. It was all sunny. My hands basically turned into tomatoes. Because it was so cold. I was outside and I didn't think to bring gloves. To grab some things. It was all sunny. My hands basically turned into tomatoes. So yeah, I think that's the kind of background that I want to go for over here. So I'm gonna flip this over like so. Yeah, I think that's the kind of background that I want to go for. Put the brightness down. So I'm gonna flip the lightness over like so. What else? Kind of background that I want to go for. Put the brightness down. So I'm gonna flip the lightness over like so. What else? Kind of background that I want to go for. Put the brightness down. So I'm gonna flip the lightness over like so. All right, so put another layer here. put another layer here. Just gonna cheat a little bit with the magic tool just so I could fill in as much spaces as possible. So put another layer here. Gonna cheat a little bit with the magic tool just so I could fill in as much spaces as possible. So put another layer here. Gonna cheat a little bit with the magic tool just so I could fill in as much spaces as possible. So these aren't the final colors, obviously, but I just use a simple darker color to just base in all these. So these aren't the final colors, the main colors that I'll be doing. I just because I'll be locking it down to the selection when I draw. Just base in all these. So these aren't the final colors, the main colors that I'll be doing. I just because I'll be locking it down to the selection when I draw. Base in all these. So these aren't the final colors, the main colors that I'll be doing. I just because I'll be locking it down to the selection when I draw. Base in all these. So these aren't the final colors, the main colors that I'll be doing. I just because I'll be locking it down to the selection when I draw. Base in all these. Hello. I think someone's here. So I'm just spacing out the Yoshi drawing. Hello. Right now with the colors. I think someone's here. I mean, he's not going to be gray like this, but I'm just making sure that. So I'm just spacing out within the lines and the Yoshi drawing. Hello. Right now with the colors. I think someone's here. I mean, he's not going to be gray like this, but I'm just making sure that. So I'm just spacing out within the lines and the Yoshi drawing. Hello. Right now with the colors. I think someone's here. I mean, he's not going to be gray like this, but I'm just making sure that. So I'm just spacing out within the lines and the Yoshi drawing. Right now with the colors. I mean, he's not going to be gray like this, but I'm just making sure that. So I'm just spacing out with the Yoshi drawing. Right now with the colors. I mean, he's not going to be gray like this. Okay, so those are based out. Now I'm going to lock this layer. So Yoshi already has an existing color palette, so I don't really have to go make a stretch and figure out. Those are based out. Now I'm going to lock this layer. So let me just minimize this. Yoshi already has an existing color palette, so I don't really have to go make a stretch and figure out. Those are based out. So now this layer is locked down. Yoshi already has here using a little checkerboard, and I'm going to go down here. So select color, and I'll just go pick an appropriate green color for this checkerboard, and I'm going to go down here. So select color, and I'll just go pick an appropriate green color for this checkerboard, and I'm going to go down here. So select color. Probably should have done something Mario Odyssey related, but I haven't had a chance to play the game, so I'm kind of afraid of spoilers or looking any of that stuff up. Probably should have done something Mario Odyssey related, but I haven't had a chance to play the game, so I'm kind of afraid of spoilers or looking any of that stuff up. Probably should have done something Mario Odyssey related, but I haven't had a chance. So in this stage, I pretty much just put the most basic colors down. I'm not going to put any shading or anything like that yet. I just want to figure out if these colors work. So in this stage, I pretty much just put the most basic colors down. I'm not going to put any shading. Add something else in there to make it pop more. I just want to figure out if these colors work. So in this stage, I pretty much just put the most basic colors down. I'm not going to put any shading. Add something else in there to make it pop more. I just want to figure out if these colors work. So in this stage, I pretty much just put the most basic colors down. I'm not going to put any shading. Add something else. Yoshi was the most annoying character in Smash Bros. I hated when my friends would play that when I was a kid. It's like Yoshi and Pikachu were the worst. And Kirby. Yoshi was the most annoying Kirby was horrible in Smash Bros. I hated when my friends would play. Well, not horrible to play it, but it's like Yoshi and Pikachu. I want to play against it. And Kirby. Yoshi was the most annoying Kirby was horrible in Smash Bros. I hated when my friends would play. Well, not horrible to play it, but it's like Yoshi and Pikachu. I want to play against it. And Kirby. Yoshi was the most Kirby was horrible in Smash Bros. I hated when my friends would play. Well, not horrible to play it, but alright, so give some brown shoes. And Kirby was horrible. But not horrible. Okay, that's looking Yoshi-like, I think. Shoes. Now I guess we could do different colored eggs.
Okay, that's.
I kind of like how in this photograph, just I get some references sometimes while I draw. So I thought this photograph was nice since I guess we could do different colored eggs.
Okay, that's.
I kind of like how in this photograph,
not gonna go completely white.
So I get some references.
Let's go for like a kind of a grayish.
I thought this photograph was nice since I guess we could do different colored eggs. I kind of like how in this photograph,
not gonna go completely white.
So I get some references.
Let's go for like a kind of a grayish.
I thought this photograph was nice since So now I'm going to lock this down, and you see when I lock this down, what this does is that I'll basically be able to, let's say I make a shape like this, you would assume that if, it wasn't locked, it would go everywhere, but instead, it's actually only going to be constrained basically be able to where the color lockdown area is, which is great because it saves a lot of time actually. So in regards to this, let's kind of figure out where we can put the color lockdown area is, which is great because it saves a lot of time.
I'm just gonna make a blue Yoshi egg.
Okay,
I'll keep away from the green here because we already got green Yoshi.
It saves a lot of time.
I'm just gonna make a blue Yoshi egg. Okay, I'll keep away from the green here because we already got green Yoshi.
Yeah, airbrush does not work. Don't have to remain completely faithful to the reference, but yeah, airbrush does not.
Sorry.
But an orange one. Yeah. Don't have to remain completely faithful to the reference, but yeah, airbrush.
Sorry.
But an orange one. Yeah. Don't have to remain completely faithful to the reference, but.
Sorry.
Right. I think a pink one would be cool. Yeah. Purple.
Sorry.
Right. I think a pink one would be cool. Yeah. Purple. Cool. Right. So now that we have that based out, I'm going to combine these layers since my recording software really hates when I use layers.
So now that we have
gotta be a little bit careful with that. Right, so
I'm
we
going to
combine
these
layers since
I'm going to keep that reference though.
So now what I'm going to do is I have this layer here with the base colors, and I'm going to left click. I'm going to hit duplicate layer. And what this is going to do is I'm going to get an exact copy of the layer I just did. And I'm going to lock it, and then I'm going to pick a darker color. And what this is going to do is say like an exact copy of the layer I just did. And then I'm going to go back to the brush tool. And with this lock, now all of this is going to be purple. Now, I didn't actually remove all the color. It's just going to be a little trick where I'm going to minimize the opacity to something like all of this, I think. Yeah, purple. Now, and now what I'll do is I'll also add a underneath the base layer and underneath the shadow layer we just did. I'm going to add some basic shading here, just so underneath the base layer and underneath the shadow layer we just did. I'm going to add some basic shading here, just so underneath the base layer and underneath this shadow layer we just did. So just give us a better understanding of where the lights and darks are coming. So those eggs should be darker where they hit the ground instead of Yoshi's foot. Where the lights and darks are coming. So, but there's also parts on here that don't make any sense since it should lighten up where there isn't that much cover. But there's also parts on here that don't make any sense since it should lighten up where... Right. Okay, sorry. Back to the trick here. Now, what I'm going to do with this shadow layer that we have on top is I'm going to go over here. You see this little square with the hole in it? Okay, sorry. Click this, and this is going to create a mask. What I'm going to do, and what you do with this mask is that you could only use black and white, and you're going to use white to the white brush, not the eraser, the white brush to add shadow, and you use the black brush to remove shadow. The white brush, not the eraser. Now we're gonna consider, let's say if the light source is just coming from the corner of the screen, the corner right going up,
you're gonna use the black brush to remove.
we want to have a concrete light source so it just doesn't come from everywhere. But
source is
I mean, there's lighting situations where that's the case,
right
but
going up.
not here.
You're gonna use the black brush.
It's hard to know though, because it's
concrete
now like in a situation like this where you just have a white background.
There's lighting situations where that's
You have to kind of just imagine the light source. It's not like an environment. If you was in a forest or something, it'd be a lot easier.
Like in a situation like this,
you'd have the logic there, but over here you have to kind of keep that logic internal.
The light source. It's not like an environment. If you was in a forest or something, it'd be a lot easier. Like in a situation like this,
you'd have the logic there, but over here you have to kind of keep that logic internal.
The light source. It's not like an environment. If you was
I find that like a lot of 3D programs like Maya and 3ds Max, they're really great for learning, like basic shading and coloring and lighting
a lot
techniques.
of 3D programs like Maya and 3ds Max,
They're really great. It's kind of easy to apply that afterwards to paintings. Not to work in there and then work on your painting. Some people do that, but more just to get a more concrete understanding of how light works. I think Blender would be another good option for that.
Not to work in there and then work on your painting.
Some people do that, but so now I'm going to get a more concrete understanding of how light works. Line layer on top, and I'm going to lock it like I've been locking before, and I'm going to basically start to color in these lines.
Line layer on top, and I'm going to lock it
like I've been locking before, and I'm going to basically start to color in these lines.
Line layer on top, and I'm going to lock it
like I've been locking before, and I'm going to basically start to color in these lines.
Line layer on top.
You don't want to go too light, because you still want to kind of use that for shadows, so.
I'm going to basically start to color in these lines. Line layer on top.
You don't want to go too light, because you still want to kind of use that for shadows, so. You don't want to go too light, because you still want to kind of use that for shadows, so. Go too light. So that would be a darker purple. That's where we kind of get a graphic look. We're not going for like a 3D realism thing, so but a darker purple. Kind of finding a comfortable middle between those. That's where we kind of get a graphic look. We're not going for like a 3D realism thing, so but a darker purple. Kind of finding a comfortable middle between those. That's where we kind of get a graphic look. We're not going for like a 3D realism thing, but kind of finding a comfortable middle between those. That's where we kind of get a graphic look. We're not going for like cool. 3D realism. So now I'm going to take all of that and I'm going to combine it so that we have this now. And I'm going to take this tool here called the burn tool. No,
so
dodge tool. And I'm just going to combine it so that we have this. Add a little bit on top. It's not the tool you always want to
take this
typically use
tool here.
It helps in
tool.
little increments.
No,
dodge tool. And I'm just going to add a little bit on top. It's not the tool you always want to take this. Okay, cool. Now what we could do is we could start focusing on the individual characters. So I'm going to start off with his face since that's the most important part.
Not the tool you always want to take this.
Okay, cool. Now what we could do is we could start focusing on the individual characters. So
sorry.
I'm going to start off with his face. This new version of Photoshop really changed all the brushes around. I had so many that now it's hard to tell which one's which. Sorry. I'm going to start off with his face. This new version of Photoshop really changed all the brushes around. I had so many that now it's hard to tell which one's which. Sorry. I'm going to start off with his face. This new version of Photoshop really changed all the brushes around. I had so many that now it's hard to tell which one's which. Sorry. I'm going to start off with his face. This new version of Photoshop really changed all the brushes around. I had so many that now it's hard to tell which one's which. Sorry. This new version of Photoshop really changed all the brushes around. I had so many that now it's hard to tell. Yeah, maybe we should add more little tongue in there. Yeah, maybe we should add more little tongue in there. So I'm going to start erasing on the original sketch just to get the sharper lines on the edges. So I'm going to start erasing on the original sketch just to get the sharper lines on the edges.
So I'm gonna start erasing on the original sketch just to get the sharper lines on the edges. So I'm gonna start erasing on the original sketch just to get the sharper lines on the edges.
It's nice that my bird isn't screaming for once when I'm doing a stream. That's always pleasant. It's like he knows. He has psychic abilities. He knows when I'm gonna start a stream and I need silence because he's otherwise pretty quiet, which is pretty funny. It's like he knows. He has psychic abilities. He knows when I'm gonna start a stream and I need silence because I had him out of his cage. He's otherwise pretty quiet, which is pretty funny. I thought I could maybe like multitask and have him out and while doing my stream, but he's what I like to call a toe biter, and if I put my feet down absent-mindedly, he's gonna rush to it and bite while doing my stream, but he's what I like to call a toe biter, and if I put my feet down absent-mindedly, he's gonna rush to it and bite while doing my stream, but he's what I like to call a toe biter, and if I put my feet down absent-mindedly, he's gonna rush to it and bite while doing my stream, but he's what I like to call a toe biter, and if I put my feet down. So I like to rotate while I draw, which on Photoshop, if you hit the R key, you'll be able to rotate while you're doing it. It's a little bit easier on a Cintiq or a drawing tablet because they usually have a little tab for you to press. On Photoshop, if you hit the R key, rotate your pen, you'll be able to rotate while you're doing it. It's a little bit easier on a Cintiq or a drawing tablet because they usually have a little tab for you to press. Pretty sure there's other alternatives too. Hit the R key, rotate your pen, you'll be able to rotate while you're doing it. It's a little bit easier on a Cintiq or a drawing tablet because they usually have a little tab. One thing to keep in mind while you're painting and you're starting to put in textures is try to consider what kind of material you're working with. So rather than just see them as this mind while you're painting and you're starting to cartoon character without try to consider what kind of materials you're working with. Standard rather than just plastic. Let's try to think about how cartoon character we could add scales to kind of get that more of a dinosaur-like appearance. So what I'm going to try to do now, since I've kind of maybe I should get rid of that one. It's cheap. So what I'm going to try to do now is dinosaur-like appearance. Take out. So what I'm going to try to do now, since I've kind of maybe I should get rid of that. I'm going to try to see if I could get some scales in there without kind of wrecking the integrity of the drawing. So what I'm going to try to do now, since I've kind of. It's always annoying because it's a lot of trial and error when you rush through these things without kind of wrecking the integrity of the drawing. It's always annoying. But I think we're doing pretty good on time, so it's worth the risk when you rush through these things without kind of wrecking the integrity of the drawing. It's always annoying. But I think we're doing pretty good on time, so it's worth the risk when you rush through these things without kind of wrecking the integrity of the drawing. It's always annoying. But I think we're doing pretty good on time. So I did some crisscrosses, and now I'm just adding in scales. I don't think I'm going to have scales all over. I'm going to actually just have them in certain locations to give the impression. And now I'm just adding in scales. I don't think I'm going to have scales all over. I'm going to actually just have them in certain locations to give the impression. And now I'm just adding in scales. I don't think I'm going to have scales all over. I'm going to actually just have them in certain locations to give the impression. Now I'm just adding in scales. I don't think I'm going to have scales all over. I can actually just have them in certain locations to give the impression. I don't think I'm going to have scales all over. I can actually just have them in certain locations. So let's just find a brush that we could kind of use here. Found these great ones off of Goro Fujita. So let's just find a brush. It's this amazing artist. Nah, don't want to do that there. It's here. And this is great for scales. Found these great ones off of Goro Fujita. So let's just find a brush. It's this amazing artist. Nah, don't want to do that there. It's here. And this is great for scales. Just to give it a little bit of a dirtier texture. So let's just find a brush. It's this amazing artist. Nah, don't want to do that there. It's here. And this is great for scales. Just to give it a little bit of a dirtier texture. Give it a little bit of a dirtier texture. It's a bit much, so I'm just gonna be a little bit careful with that. I'll go back up to the more manual brushes and the kind of painterly ones. So just gonna be a little bit careful with that. I'll go back up to the more manual brushes and the kind of painterly ones. Be a little bit careful with that. I'm gonna give him an impression of a nose here. I think this should be smooth. That'd be interesting. So nothing like we'll have rougher skin on the green parts, but we'll keep the, I think this should be the white parts more smooth. So you get a little bit of variety in the textures. Like we'll have rougher skin on the green parts, but we'll keep the, I think this should be the white parts more smooth. So you get a little bit of variety in the textures. Like we'll have rougher skin on the green parts, but we'll keep the, I think this should be the white parts more smooth. So you get a little bit of variety in the textures. Like we'll have rougher skin on the green parts, but we'll keep the, I think this should be the white parts more smooth. So you get a little bit of variety in the textures. We'll have rougher skin on the green parts, but I think this should be the white parts more smooth. So you get a little bit of variety in the textures. It'll also help to add some sheen on top of those scales that I'm putting in right now. Make them look less like warts. It'll also help to add some sheen on top of those scales that I'm putting in right now. Make them look less like warts. It'll also help to add some sheen on top of those scales that I'm putting in right now. Make them look less like warts. It'll also help to add some sheen on top of those scales that I'm putting in right now. Like this. So I'm going to take a lighter green. It'll also help to add some sheen on top of those scales that I'm putting in right now. Like this. So I'm going to take a lighter green. Like this. So I'm going to take a lighter green. Green. Yeah, that kind of works. It's a bit much though, so we're just gonna make it a little bit lighter, a little bit more subtle. Yeah, I like to bring out this tool actually. It's a bit much though, so it's an occlusion. It's a occlusion brush. A little bit lighter. We have a subtle purple, pinkish kind of. I like to bring out this tool actually. Very slightly give an impression of that. It's a occlusion brush. Much. A little bit lighter. We have a subtle purple, pinkish kind of. I like to bring kind of brings him more into very slightly give 3D space. Than looking slapped on. Purple, pinkish kind of. I like to bring kind of brings him more into very slightly give 3D space. Than looking slapped on. Purple, pinkish kind of brings him more into very slightly give 3D space. Than looking slapped on. Brings him more into very slightly 3D space. Should be darker on the bottom of that egg. Oops, bit too much. Should be darker on the bottom of that egg. Yeah, that's pretty good. Oops, bit too much. We'll come back and add more texture to the egg. I just want to kind of ground it in space. Pretty good. Oops, bit too much. We'll come back and add more texture to the egg. I just want to kind of ground it in space. We'll come back and add more texture to the egg. I just want it kind of grounded in space. We'll come back and add more texture to the egg. I just want it kind of grounded in space. We'll come back and add more texture to the egg. I just want it kind of grounded in space. Wonder if YouTube's gonna copyright strike my breathing noises. Might as well at this point. YouTube's gonna copyright strike my breathing noises. Might as well at this point. YouTube's gonna copyright. Sounds too similar to another breathing noise in their database. Might as well at this point. Sounds too similar to another breathing noise in their database. Might as well at this point. Sounds too similar to another breathing noise in their database. Might as well at this point. Sounds too similar to another breathing noise in their database. Just a quick second. Their database. Just a second. Cool. Their database. Just a second. Just get some on the bottom of that egg. Just a second. Just get some on the bottom of that egg. There's really a lot of controversy about drawing fan art, from what I hear. I mean, I think it's fine in, you know, as long as you have your own workup. I mean, there's really a lot of controversy about a lot of from what I hear. Potential employers. Let's say if you want to become a character designer. I've heard it said like, oh, if you do like a lot of work off of existing IP that somehow is unappealing to potential clientele or people who want to hire. I think that's very silly. I mean, I can understand a little bit the point, but like I think for the most part, you have some artists out there who can make some amazing fan art. And, like they make it their own in a way, and they give it their own touch, and you see the effort involved. Like I think her name is Claire Hamill. And yeah, she had a good post out about this. I thought it was a really good point, basically, where she was going to draw like Disney princesses, but like she had done all this research on the historical accuracy of her interpretation of it. So like it showed her character designing abilities, like, even though all this, you know, it was in the format of something fan art related. It doesn't. I think that like the problem lies when it's too similar to the original. Like when you got that where it's basically like a trace over, I could see. I think that I don't think that's the issue for many people. It's too similar to the original. Like when you got that where it's basically like a trace over, I could see. Yeah, nothing wrong with fan art. The issue for many people. I mean, I think where you start to have problems is when you go to conventions, because that is a bit of a gray area. I mean, I see everyone, and I've sold fan art myself at conventions, but sometimes they can be sticklers about it, like depending on which convention they're going to. I mean, I see everyone, big ones at the Comic Cons, like they. Sometimes I heard through the grapevine that like they've got copyright lawyers that go through and get people copyright strikes. Like not copyright strikes. Sometimes I heard through the grapevine that they get them warnings basically. I never heard of anyone actually being sued, but like I have heard of people being told that they can't sell their stuff. They get them warnings. Involved fan art.
I never heard of anyone actually being.
I mean, I think it could be argued on both ends that that they can. It's pretty beneficial to if you're making fan art of an existing franchise. I think it could be. Let's say something like Undertale or what have you. I mean, it helps out the existing IP, whatever it's based on, because you're basically Undertale or what have you, adding to the community. It helps out of that particular thing. And IPs should be more of a good thing than if it's something that requires legal attention, unless someone's trying to create a product off of it. Like if you're trying to make an Undertale card game and it's not just some fan art, I can see the point. Something that requires legal attention, unless someone. But I guess it is up to the people who create. Like if you're trying to make an Undertale card game and it's not just some fan art, I can see the point. Requires legal attention unless someone. But I guess it is up to the people who create. Like if you're trying to make an Undertale card game and it's not just some fan art, I can see the point. But I guess it is up to the people who create. Like if you're trying to make an Undertale card game and it's not just some fan art, I can see the point. But I guess add some of that purple on the underneath. 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 We can mess with the colors a bit at this point to just kind of have a better idea. Let's see. We can mess with the colors a bit at this point to just kind of have a better idea. Let's see. We can mess with the colors a bit at this point to just kind of try to condense it though. Better idea. Mess with the colors a bit at this point. Maybe the color balance. Try to condense it though. Maybe the color balance. Try to condense it though. Maybe the color balance. Yeah, it's coming more together. So definitely still need to fix Yoshi and the eggs too. Yeah, it's coming more together. So definitely still need to fix Yoshi and the eggs too. Yeah, it's coming more together. So definitely still need to fix Yoshi and the eggs. Yeah, it's coming more together. So definitely still need to fix Yoshi and the eggs. Just gonna work out the saddle a little bit. It's kind of too flat right now. Doesn't really have any shape, so I'm making a ledge here. Just gonna work out the saddle a little bit. It's kind of too flat right now. Doesn't really have any shape, so I'm making a ledge here. I'm gonna work out the saddle a little bit. It's kind of too flat right now. Doesn't really have any shape, so I'm making a ledge here. I'm gonna work out the saddle a little bit. It's kind of too flat right now. Doesn't really have any shape, so I'm making a ledge here. Let's make it kind of like a cushiony kind of texture to it. That'd be fun. Let's make it kind of like a cushiony kind of texture to it. That'd be fun. Let's make it kind of like a cushiony kind of texture to it. That'd be fun. Ever understood why Yoshis had saddles? I mean, I know Mario rides them, but are they born with these saddles? Who makes them? Ever understood why Yoshis had saddles? I have so many questions, Nintendo. I mean, I know Mario rides them, but are they born with these saddles? Who makes them? Ever understood why Yoshis had saddles? I have so many questions, Nintendo. I mean, I know Mario rides them, but are they born with these saddles? I'm gonna put white around the ridge here so we can kind of see a sharp point where it differs off into the bottom part. And for the bottom part, I'm gonna start to add ridge here so we can some shadows. Sharp point where it differs off. It looks very metal-like as it stands right now, which I think is alright. Add ridge here so we can some shadows. I'd imagine the brim on these things would probably be made of metal. Very metal-like as it stands right now, which I think is alright. Add ridge here so we can some shadows. I'd imagine the brim on these things would probably be made of metal. Very metal-like. Those pillows have some nice swirly textures on them. I'd imagine the brim on these things would probably be made of metal. Wouldn't be my drawing if I don't have swirls in it somehow. Nice. So I'm gonna add little chips of textures on them. Paint that are coming off of. Wouldn't be my drawing if I don't have swirls in it somehow. Little chips into the metal, I mean, sorry. So I'm gonna add little chips of textures on them. Paint that are coming off of. Wouldn't be my drawing if I don't have swirls in it somehow. Little chips into the metal, I mean, sorry. So I'm gonna add little chips of paint. Alright, so darken him a bit underneath here. I'm gonna add little chips of paint. I could work on that. So darken him a bit underneath here. There'll always be a point of your drawing even when you're finished that you just want to go back in there and work at. I guess unless you spent a jillion years on drawing. There'll always be a point of your drawing even when you're finished. Deadline. Just want to go back in there and work at. I think it's always good to have the skill to do something for like speed paint style stuff and for a long period of time, because like when you work professionally, you can be expected to do both. It's always good to have you'll have children's books, kind of art, which really is time expensive. It's time expensive. Like when you work professionally, and will require a lot of energy to do children's books and resources. But then after you'll have the quicker things where like you need really fast turnaround. So it's really good to not constrain yourself to just one kind of method. Then after you'll have the quicker things where like you need really fast turnaround. So it's really good to not constrain yourself to just one kind of method. And after you'll have the quicker things where like you need really fast turnaround. So it's really good to not constrain yourself to just one kind of. That arm still feels kind of off to me. Just add some scales in here. That arm still feels kind of off to me. Just add some scales in here. That arm still feels kind of off to me. Just add some scales in here. That arm still feels kind of off to me. Just add some scales in here. So this boot's gonna be more leather than anything. I think I could kind of get the yellow underneath the shoe over here if we put it as a rim. Kind of like the whites of a sneaker. This boot's gonna be more leather than anything. I think I could kind of get the yellow underneath the shoe over here. Yeah, it looks much more like Yoshi. Kind of like the whites of a sneaker. It's gonna be more leather than anything. I think I could. He has so many basic color. His color palette's really limited, so when you're avoiding using one of those limited colors, it doesn't really show up as much as him. He has so many basic color. His color palet's really limited, so when you're avoiding using one of those limited colors, it doesn't really show up as much as him. He has so many basic color. His color palet's really limited, so when you're avoiding using one of those limited colors, it doesn't really show up as much as him. He has so many basic color. His color palet's really limited, so when you're avoiding using one of those limited colors, it doesn't really show up as much as him. He has so many basic color. His color palet's really limited, so when you're avoiding using one of those limited colors, it doesn't really show up as much as him. This foot's looking bigger than it should, actually. Let me see. Yeah, I think it's too big. Cut that off a little bit. This foot's looking bigger than it should, actually. Let me see. Yeah, I think it's too big. Cut that off a little bit. This foot's looking bigger than it should, actually. Yeah, that's more appropriate. It's too big. Cut that off a little bit. This foot's looking bigger than it should, actually. Yeah, oops. That's more appropriate. Cut that off a little bit. Yeah, oops. That's more appropriate. Yeah, oops. Add another thing of yellow underneath the other shoe. I didn't give it any kind of space like I have in between here. It just goes straight from the ankle to the foot. Add another thing of yellow underneath. I mean, from the leg to the foot. There's no ankle, so I have to. I didn't give it any kind of space like I have in between here. It just goes straight from the ankle to the foot. Add another thing of yellow underneath. I mean, from the leg to the foot. There's no ankle, so I have to. I didn't give it any kind of space like I have in between here. It just goes straight from the ankle to the foot. Add another. I mean, from the leg to the foot. There's no ankle, so I didn't give it here kind of space like I have in between here. Just straight from the ankle to the foot. I mean, from the leg to the foot. There's no ankle, so I didn't give it here kind of space like I have in between here. Just straight from the ankle to the foot. I mean, from the leg to the foot. I didn't give it here space. Yeah, I kind of like the stitch texture. Like he made his own little crappy shoes. Not really high quality. Yeah, I kind of like the stitch texture. Like he made his own little crappy shoes. Not really high quality. Yeah, I kind of like the stitch texture. Like he made his own little crappy shoes. Not really high quality. Yeah, I kind of like the stitch texture. Like he made his own little crappy shoes. Not really high quality. Yeah, I kind of like the stitch texture. Like he made his own little crappy shoes. Try to add these little scales that kind of bleed into the grain so that I don't have an awkward gradient. It kind of looks a little bit more like an animal would. Scales that kind of bleed into the grain, so that I don't have an awkward gradient. It kind of looks a little bit more like an animal would. Scales that kind of bleed into the grain, so that I don't have an awkward gradient. It kind of looks a little bit more like an animal would. Scales that kind of bleed into the grain, so that I don't have an awkward gradient. It kind of looks a little bit more like an animal would. Scales that kind of bleed into the grain, so that I don't have an awkward gradient. It kind of looks a little bit more like an animal would. Oops. Gonna add some shadow behind the legs because it looks a little bit flat here. And I'm also gonna start to combine these since we don't want to go. Oops, it's not good. Gonna add some shadow behind the legs. Okay, I think I get what's going on. Flat here. And I'm also gonna start to combine these since we don't want to go. Oops, it's not good. Gonna add some shadow behind the legs. Okay, I think I get what's going on. Flat here. I'm also gonna start to combine these since we don't want to go. Oops. Sometimes merging layers is a little bit difficult when you have filters put on top. Sometimes merging layers is a little bit difficult when you have filters put on top. Sometimes merging layers is a little bit difficult when you have filters put on top. Sometimes merging layers is a little bit difficult when you have filters put on top. Sometimes merging layers is a little bit difficult when you have filters put on top. Now I can work on the little details on these eggs. Go back to Yoshi a bit later. Just want to make sure I get these. So now I can work on the little. I have a pretty cool brush here. That these eggs. Ooh, it's a bit much, but I'm gonna add some little speckles to the eggs.
Just want to make sure I get these. So now we can work on the little.
I have a pretty cool brush here. That's kind of a brownish color here. I'm gonna add some little speckles to the eggs.
Just want to make sure I get these. So now we can work on the little.
I have a pretty cool brush here. That's kind of a brownish color here. I'm gonna add some little speckles to the eggs. Pretty cool brush here. That's kind of a brownish color here. Go back to the speckles, the eggs. Pretty cool brush here. That's kind of a brownish color here. Try to add like big speckles and also little speckles just to kind of give some variance here. Try to add like big speckles and also little speckles just to kind of give some variance here. Try to add like big speckles and also little speckles just to kind of give some variance here. Try to add like big speckles and also little speckles just to kind of give some variance here. So I put some darker ones, but I kind of erase it to bring it back in, since we don't want it looking a little bit too... Yeah, see, that purple is kind of a bit much. So I put some maybe I'll have ones, but I kind of erase lighter concentration here. We don't want it looking a little bit too... Yeah, see, that purple is... Also, I'm going to start to kind of... I put some... Maybe put some texture at the colors of these edges. They're a bit too mechanical to me. Which, yeah, I mean, they look like that in the game, also, but since Yoshi here looks kind of realistic, semi-realistic, it would be a bit weird if these didn't have. Which, I mean, they look like that in the game, also, but since Yoshi here looks kind of realistic, semi-realistic. Sorry if my voice is weird, guys. These didn't have. Which, I mean, they look like that in the game, also, but since Yoshi here looks kind of realistic, semi-realistic. Sorry if my voice is weird, guys. These didn't have. Which, I mean, they look like that in the game, also, but since Yoshi here looks kind of realistic, semi-realistic. Sorry if my voice is weird, guys. So, as you can see, I am basically just kind of working out that edge so it looks more like it's a natural occurrence. So, as you can see, I am basically just kind of working out that edge so it looks more like it's a natural occurrence. So, as you can see, I am basically just kind of working out that edge so it looks more like it's a natural. Probably do some other patterns in here too. So as you can see, I am basically just kind of... I tried doing it like all at the same time with all of these, so I don't patterns in here forget which brushes I was using and what kind of techniques.
I tried doing it like all at the same time with all of these, so I don't forget which brushes I was using and what kind of techniques. I tried doing it like all at the same time with all of these, so I don't forget which brushes I was using and what kind of techniques. I tried doing it like all at the same time with all of these, so I don't forget which brushes I was using. Probably gonna put some swirls in here. It'd be fun. I tried doing it like all at the same time with all of these, so I don't forget which brushes I was using. Probably gonna put some swirls in here. It'd be fun. Probably gonna put some swirls in here. Kind of like this. Fun. Let's see. Probably gonna put some swirls in here. Kind of like this. Let's see. Probably gonna put some swirls in here. Kind of like this.
Hey! How's it going, dude? Thank you. Sorry, could you hear me? I'm just actually kind of curious. I was afraid that the sound on my stream wasn't working. Dude? Thank you. Sorry, could you hear me? I'm just actually kind of curious. I was afraid that the sound on my stream wasn't working. Dude? Thank you. Sorry, could you hear me? I'm just actually kind of curious. I was afraid that the sound on my stream wasn't working. Thank you. Sorry, can you hear me? Oh really? Oh gosh, I'm so sorry. I didn't know. Let me try to fix it. I think it's because I may have this. Oh, I know why. I'm so sorry. Is it better now? I had the volume open on YouTube. Oh, okay, that's great. So sorry about that. I had no idea. Gosh, I feel really bad. Gonna have to keep a better eye out for that next time. Hopefully it's not everything I've said before was totally echoed out. Cool, so yeah, if you have any questions or anything like that, just hit me up and I totally would love to answer. No pressure, like anything. if you guys just want to watch me draw, it's totally fine. I'm gonna start to add some cracks into these eggs so that they look. So I take a darker version of the shadow on the bottom and I'm going to kind of it's helpful when you're making cracks to kind of just use a darker color, but you also kind of bring this lighter color here down here to put on the bottom. Just it helps the embossing, I think. Oops, I still had smoothing on. I'm gonna put that off. These are a little bit too dark up here. Oops. A little bit too dark. Should be a little bit lighter since they're not in darkness like they are on the bottom. Also has these pixely edges on the side, so I'm just gonna kind of fix those. what it looks like from afar. Yeah, I can see this working now. Something is a little bit off though. I think it's a shadow on the bottom. The shadow here, actually. Yeah, there you go. That's what was throwing it off for me. Okay, that makes a lot more sense. Okay, so I'm just gonna kind of like Yoshi Easter eggs. I used to have Yoshi Island. It was awesome. Such a good game. It's also the most frustrating thing in my life. I hated when there's those ledges near the waterfall in the game. I can't really remember it properly, but oh, it was frustrating. It was like something to get the scale waterfall in there. I kept falling. But hey, it's like a first-party Nintendo title. It's automatically awesome. Well, probably not automatically awesome. I think they also had like this math Yoshi game. I don't know. That one was kind of meh. No, it wasn't math. I'm sorry. It was Tetris. It's like a Tetris version of Yoshi Island. Which is kind of funny because it looks exactly like the Pokemon puzzle on the Game Boy. Game Boy Color, I mean. Like picture by picture, the exact same game, except they just replaced the Yoshi with Pokemon. It's like the same format. Part of me wonders if I could kind of like have something creeping out of the egg. It'd be kind of funny. A bit late in the drawing to put it, but why not? Let me see. An eye. This might not work. It's probably going to be a disaster, but I just want to see if it works. Yeah, I think it kind of works. Maybe I'll do a different color though. I mean, there's different color Yoshi in the eggs. Hey, wait, if it's an orange egg, it's gotta be an orange Yoshi. What am I doing here? Making him green. Defying egg logic. Literal definition of an Easter egg in a painting. Probably add some shadow to kind of differentiate this a little bit, yeah. You know, kind of looking at this right now, I feel like Yoshi's colors are quite muddy looking. Like, there's a lot of browns in here that just kind of drag them down a bit. So I'm going to try to lighten them up so we get the same kind of color that we have on the muzzle. Which is going to take off some of the texture, unfortunately, since I got too carried away, but I think it'll pay off. I could have put a filter to lighten it, but sometimes when there's just too much to, like the effect's too dramatic, it kind of looks sloppy. So I'll just do it manually. Also, we're pretty good on time, so. Sorry if it's kind of weird that I changed the stream to a set. Oh, Yoshi's wearing boots. Yeah, kind of breaking the rules over here by making him wear boots. I wanted to kind of make him look a little bit unique, but actually kind of looking at this right now, that the saddle doesn't make much sense. It's kind of too long. Maybe I could kind of give it more of a hump. I'm gonna cheat. Yeah, that works better. It's still too long. Yeah. I fuss a lot with these paintings. Yeah, very fancy. He's got these 16th century boots on. Should probably put a monocle on him. Like that. A little mustache. I haven't played Yoshi's Woolly World yet. The yarn thing. I'm probably getting the title wrong. It'd be funny to kind of make a series of Daper Mario characters that are all fancy looking and have monocles and whatnot. Be a fun exercise to do. Maybe I'll do that. Wonder if we could actually add like a green hill. I have no idea if this is gonna work, but I'll just attempt it. I'm just gonna save the existing stuff in its own kind of layer just so that if I mess this up, I don't totally mess it up. And I duplicated it, so. I'm gonna have to put a white background behind this. Kind of take them out like this. Actually, let me go grab a screen of actually Yoshi Island so I could get a background idea for this. Yoshi Island. This has the potential to be a disaster, but it's worth trying. So let me just attempt to get a similar thing to the games. Oops. Yeah, I agree. It's right now I'm trying to integrate the shading so that it'll actually match the background. So I'm actually gonna offer you guys like both types of backgrounds. So like you got this one that I'm working on, like this old one I'm gonna make available, and I'm just gonna see if I can manage to squeeze in this background here. So I'm gonna just try to fix what you mentioned here. Another trick that I could do right now is I'm gonna slap on one of these. Those eggs still look pretty weird though. Maybe I could put like just for this version, maybe I could just add a kind of a outline. Let me see if it works. Wonder if I could add the same to Yoshi, that'd be interesting. So I'm sort of adding these outlines on this alternate background to just better integrate it with the Yoshi's Island thing. But yeah, again, like, I'm like, this is not the only background I'm gonna make available. I'll make the not crazy one up there too. Just cleaning it up a little bit. Goosebumps everywhere. Ah, yeah, it does look like goosebumps. I didn't notice that until you pointed it out. Kind of weird that the details in his face don't follow the same goosebumpy. Oops. That shell doesn't make much sense. Forgot the bottom of that shoe. Oh, no worries, Angel. I'm so sorry that you couldn't make it, because I mean, I was kind of weird with the timing on this. It was usually Sundays, and now all of a sudden it's a Saturday. Sorry about that. I thought Saturday was going to be a little bit easier, but I should have warned you guys. So, yeah, if you can totally check the recording of this afterwards. It's all going to be on YouTube with the same link. If you want to see, so we have like two versions of the same drawing, so I'm going to give you guys wallpaper of both. I've got this version without the Yoshi's Island background, and this one I'm just making an alternate form. If you have any questions, feel free. Thank you. So yeah, I'm almost done, but I'm just adding in final touches and tweaks here. So yeah, if you have any questions, totally feel free, and no pressure if you don't. Hope you're all having a great weekend. This is problematic. There's too much, kind of works on the other one, but like too much gradient over here is kind of causing a bit of an issue. Awesome. Cool. So yeah, again, if you wanted to ask anything, it's not too late. cool. So I think this is about. I guess I could put some stuff in here. Hey guys, think of the most random thing and yell it out, and I'm gonna doodle it. Because I've pretty much wrapped up with the drawing. So first person who writes whatever, I'll draw it, as long as it's not inappropriate. Not that I think you guys would do that, but. Totoro, okay. Gonna draw Totoro. Sorry, this is from memory, but let's just see if I could. Actually, I have a Totoro plush right next to me. It's. Oh, there's my reference. Nice. Yeah, Totoro's awesome. I still need to get the, because I have the gray one, but there was the little white one and the blue one. I have to finish getting those ones. Really hard to find though. Oh, what did I do? I drew him without his umbrella. There's still 5 minutes left. We have to draw his umbrella. Awesome. Sorry if I'm sluggish with the responses to the thing right now. I'm like totally rushing to get the Totoro drawing done. The worst umbrella in the world over here. Sorry guys, I'm gonna reply to anything back on the screen. I'm not able to look back right now, but as soon as I hit 2 o'clock my time, I'm going to turn around. So just 3 minutes. Just in case anyone wrote anything, sorry. 2 minutes left. Oh crap, these were gray. Almost made them brown. Come on, come on, come on, come on. Fluff ball record. Oh, it's really it's nothing. This it's just like some few brush stroke, just a fluff. Oh, still a minute. Still a minute. Watch me ruin it in a minute, because I'll get like over ambitious. Hey, this is kind of fun. You guys want to try something like this like all the time? Where like I'll put it on the end of the. Maybe I'll put more time next time. So it's like just a crash. Just throw whatever you want at me. Like, even no matter how stupid it is, I have to draw it. Okay. Bang. Well, I tried. Okay, so I'm just gonna read what you guys wrote right now. Oh, cool. Manga shop I'm sorry, I can never pronounce that city in France. Nantes? It's Nantes. My family's gonna hit me for pronouncing it wrong because they're French. Nantes? Oh, thanks, guys. Sweet. So, do you guys want the Totoro? I could like add it with the wallpaper. I don't mind. If it's too crappy, I won't. But I'll just add it in anyways, just in case. Fluff Totoro. Fluff Totoro. That was awesome. Sweet. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. I'm gonna give you guys basically like these two wallpapers like I mentioned before, and I'll throw this guy in. And yeah, I mean, I really appreciate you guys taking the time to sit down and watch me rant about drawing. Maybe next week I'm not next week, I'm sorry. Next time around I'll definitely have a few more ideas for these, because I think that me just drawing straight is kind of a little bit boring. I don't want to kind of have you guys being totally bored on the other end, so I'm going to try to maybe like put out a list of potential questions and stuff, and so there's less silence. But yeah, I mean, it'd be fun. Like, how about next time around, like, yeah, just maybe 20-30 minutes. I'll draw for an hour and a half, because I started to finish the drawing already after that point, so it was, you know, it's kind of unnecessary since it's kind of a speed paint anyway. So we'll make it like an hour or an hour and a half of the actual drawing, and then we'll do 30 minutes of just yell random things at me, and yeah, it'll be really fun. Well, thank you guys so much for tuning in. I really appreciate it. I hope you have a great rest of the weekend. And again, if you want to see the recordings of this video, you just need to follow back that link, and you'll find the recording on my YouTube. If you have any problems, just like hit me up. I'll definitely help you with that. No worries at all. Sweet. Thanks, everyone. Have a great one.